Hello and welcome, listeners, to That's a Good Card. I'm Ya, and with me is the hardworking, salt of the earth, Kyle. And he's going to have the challenge of getting me to say, that's a good card. While Kyle will be doing the convincing, I'll be playing the devil's advocate. Now is also a good time to remind you to hit that subscribe button wherever you're listening to us. If you have thoughts that differ from the two of us, leave a comment below to let us know. Or make a suggestion for the card you think can change the CEDH meta. All right, Kyle, are you ready to yap it up?
Yeah. Hardworking salt of the earth. Yes. Is that how you view me?
That's what you are, dude. Yeah, that's what you are.
Thank you. I appreciate that. Well, guess what? I'm feeling a lot better since the last time we recorded last week. So I'm excited about that. I just was finishing editing up. Actually, it was a couple days ago, but I was editing through last week's podcast. And holy crap, I sounded so miserable.
I thought you kept the energy high.
I was trying. I think I definitely faded after a certain point where I was like,
sure.
There's nothing left. The cold medicine was hitting and I was just like, spiraling. But anyway, I'm really excited to be back today and feeling significantly better. So let's talk about a fun card. This card is actually recommended multiple times, actually so many times. So I'm just going to read out some of the YouTube ones. And if I missed a couple of you from Spotify or Apple Podcasts or the Discord itself, I'm so sorry. But it looks like we have Budget Pub Stomper, IR, Left-Handed Prick, Colin Lynch 6491, and Busy Baxon. So thank you so much to those YouTube commenters who recommended Aether Vial. Hey, look, we finally did it.
We got there.
Furthest one back, you want to guess how long ago it was, y'all?
Episode 4.
I don't know what episode it was, but it was 11 months ago.
That's not episode 4. That probably was like episode 8 or 9.
Yeah, I think we're a little further along there.
Yeah.
Oh, it was episode 10. I can see it right here. That was on our podcast on Vengeful Tracker. Oh man, remember the days of teching against treasures because of Dockside? Ooh, that seems like a different eon ago.
Yep,
anyway,
sure.
Aether Vial, let's get to it. So I'm really excited about this one. I just recently saw this in a friend of mine, Atlas's Kenrith list that he tested in one of the locals that we had. I was just watching the games. I actually couldn't attend this tournament, but I was watching the games and I saw he was playing it. And I was like, that Aether Vial is kind of funny. So I'm excited to go over some of the other decks that we see this in. Sisay, Najeela, Ezio, the Assassin's Creed commander.
Wow.
Which I haven't personally played against that deck, but I know that it's kind of has a niche like cult following. So I think it's exciting to see that pop up, as well as Heliod and Hasherton as well. This card showed up in like over 700 bracket 5 lists on Moxfield, which is actually a pretty high number comparatively to a lot of the other
way more
cards
than
we
I
look
expected.
up. So
that was way more.
Yeah,
than
exactly.
Expected.
So I mean, like this card is super popular, right? It's been printed a bajillion times, so it is definitely would you call it a casual staple? Probably, right? It's close. It's close to a casual staple level.
I would imagine.
I think it's played a lot, in casual. So I think it's very interesting to be considering a card that's, had so many printings. It's been around for a while. But yeah, I'm excited to talk about it in CEDH.
Sweet.
Have you played with this card before?
I have not. I believe I have a copy or two of this card sitting in the binder somewhere. I've looked at it for sure. I've thought about it. But never really pulled the trigger. So I'm excited to see what we kind of come up with here today.
Yeah, cool. All right, let's get into my points. I have quite a few of them, so I'll try to go through them at a decent pace. Let's talk about low-hanging fruit first, right? First and foremost, the buy-in is super duper low, right? We're talking about 1 CMC, 1 singular generic mana. We'll get this card on the board for you. And I really like the idea of getting a value piece onto the board that's likely not going to eat a counterspell, right? There's only one counterspell that I think is consistently going to counter this, right?
Mental misstep.
Obviously, it's mental misstep. Yeah, exactly. That's really interesting because I was having a conversation the other day with somebody talking about like why soul rings don't get countered nearly as much as you think they would be, right? Like soul ring, especially a turn 1 soul ring, is so powerful, but it only really eats mental missteps. And really, it's because, one, a lot of the counterspells, like the free counterspells we're seeing in CEDH, are like conditional on either like we think like Fierce, right? Think of Fierce. It's conditional that you have your commander out. Normally, Soul Ring's coming out before commander's coming out, so that's not going to work. MBT, normally you're only playing land, Soul Ring, go, right? So MBT is not going to be active for it. Some of the other really popular ones like a Swan Song doesn't hit artifacts, or a Flusterstorm doesn't hit artifacts. So there's just a lot of things that don't necessarily hit Soul Ring. And Aether Vial kind of like falls in the same range of, well, it's a 1-cost artifact. So if you feel like your Soul Rings aren't getting countered very often, your Aether Vial is not going to get countered either. And once it sticks, this thing is gold. I just realized we didn't read the card.
So excited. He just skipped over it. Let's go ahead and read the card now.
Yeah. No, I'm going to
edit it back in and then keep this in.
I'm going to probably edit it. Yeah, Kyle in the editing room. I'm going to keep this in for jokes, but let's read what Aether Vial does. Kyle from the editing room here. Honestly, the flow of the beginning of the episode was pretty good, so I'm not going to go back, but damn, am I a goober for forgetting to read the card name. All right, go back to the podcast. So let's read the card. Aether Vial is a 1-cost artifact. It reads, at the beginning of your upkeep, you may put a charge counter on Aether Vial. Then it has an activated ability, tap to activate. You may put a creature card with mana value equal to the number of charge counters on Aether Vial from your hand onto the battlefield. So, effectively, what Aether Vial allows you to do is cheat cards into play.
Creatures.
It takes a little while to ramp up, but yes, you can cheat a creature card equal to the mana value into play by activating the Aether Vial and putting a card from your hand into play. That's what it does. Cool. So going back to my first point here.
Yep.
But I actually consider this card really similar to Carpet of Flowers, which seems really weird, right? At face value, that's weird. Am I kind of reaching there, yeah? Before I kind of explain what I mean by it?
No, I don't think so. I think I know what you mean. I think.
Yeah, so like my thought process is like it's something that's going to ramp up and increase in value as the game progresses with a very low, obviously, cost to deploy this thing. And it's just going to get better and better as the game goes on. Now, Carpet of Flowers gets better and better as your opponents play islands. This card gets better and better as, one, you draw more magic cards because we're playing CEDH, so the point of our decks is going to be to draw magic cards to win the game. So we are going to have more targets to be able to activate and put something into play. But also, as the charge counters increase, we're getting more of a discount on the creatures that we can put into play.
Yep.
Now, of note, it is very important that it's not or less, right? So the number of counters on the Aether Vial is equal to the number that you can put into play. So it's like if you start ramping it up to high numbers, like you get it to a 5-drop, because you're like, I want to cast a 5-drop for free, you might not get as much value as if you were to keep it at 1, 2, or 3, right? Mm-hmm. Because you're probably not running the same density of 5-drop creatures.
Yep.
But I see it very similar to Carpet of Flowers in that sense, where I've been playing long slog games. And in those games, that Carpet of Flowers, turn 4, turn 5, could be huge bursts of mana, similar to how Aether Vial, as the game progresses, can, save. Let's say you even keep Aether Vial at like 2. And it really depends on what your deck is, right? So if you keep your Aether Vial counters at 2, that generally means, hey, I have a distribution of 2-cost creatures that's really high. I'm going to want to just play 2-cost creatures, right? Because you're not ticking down the amount. So once you decide to go up, there's no going back.
Yep.
So a lot of times I see it stick at about 2, but it depends on the density of creatures, right? If I played this in Corvold, for example, my density of 1 costs are really, really high, especially in the current iteration of what my Corvold looks like. I'm running a lot of the Wild Cantor type things where I play it for 1 mana, sack it for 1 mana, like Croson Wayfarer. There's just a bunch of random 1-drops, right? So I might keep it on 1 for that, but at the same time, you're making the decision based on the cards that are in your hand. So if you see a bunch of 2-drops in your hand and you're like, my deck normally likes this Aether Vial to stay on 1. Well, I have 3 2-drops in my hand. We're putting it to 2, So it's like you can make that piloting decision based on the cards that you have and your own information. And it's not really pertinent on anyone else's information, which I like as well. So once it sticks, it's gold. Buy-in is super low for this card. That's kind of my first point, is at a low buy-in, it's high impact. It's kind of low-hanging fruit, but that's my thoughts.
Yeah, I can see that for sure.
Yeah, my second point, I mean, that's like, there's not really much to say about it. I don't think anybody's going to be like, oh, Aether Vial's too expensive for what it does. It's one of those weird cards.
Needs to be zero cost.
Yeah, it needs to be 0 for me to run this card. It's so funny, is like a lot of times when I was listening to a bunch of people talk about Tarkir, right?
Mm-hmm.
And like the release of cards. And there's like a lot of these cards that are like almost good enough for CEDH. And everyone's like, if it was 1 mana less, it would be good enough for CEDH. Aether Vial's in a weird spot where like,
it can't.
I don't
be
think
one
anyone would ever say that.
No,
even if
it can't be one less.
it can't be 1 less for 1 because like if it's a 0 cost thing, then you get into weird Hullbreaker horror things. It like just makes everything a lot easier. Grinding Station becomes a lot easier with it. There's like a lot of Pandora's box that opens if it goes to 0. But at the same time, like even if you don't think about all those random combinations for 0, I don't think it really matters. I don't think it would change whether or not Aether Vial would play the card, which is very interesting. I think if it went up 1, yes, obviously it would be more difficult. It's a telling sign that it seems like it's the cost is correct, if that makes sense. Anyway.
Yep.
I'm going to just move on to my second point because I'm kind of like derailed here. I don't know what I'm talking about, but it's okay. Second point is you get to interact with your opponents through silence effects. And I'm looking at you, Voice of Victory. So bringing up Tarkir Dragonstorm, there is a new card called Voice of Victory. It's 1 and a white for a creature. And that creature says that your opponents can't cast spells during your turn. It's basically a Grand Abolisher. I'll throw it up on the screen here. With this card becoming legal for CEDH, we are just going to see it constantly. Like as much as you see Grand Abolisher, we're now seeing this. And it's easier to cast than Grand Abolisher.
Mm-hmm.
So the need to be able to play and interact through silence effects just got all the more difficult and all the more real because of Voice of Victory. I truly think so. Like I think that this one card is going to be such a staple that thinking about ways to interact around it, I think Channel is going to become more of a need. And I think that ways to play in general, whether it's like cheat things into play without casting spells, is going to be more important. Like I honestly, like I'm unironically thinking about playing some of the morph cards that are considered like the better morph cards. And we've gotten these recommended a lot. Like I'm thinking like I'll bring this up and eventually we might do a podcast on it because like I'm so sick of like all the silence type effects. It's like Stratus Dancer, right? So like if I'm thinking about Stratus Dancer, which let me read the card. So like here's what Stratus Dancer does. It's a 2-cost creature. It's 1 and a blue. It has Megamorph 2, 1 and a blue, right? So you cast it as a face down 2/2 creature for 3 colorless. You can pay 1 and a blue to flip it as a special game action at any time. It's a 2/1 flyer. It reads, when Stratus Dancer is turned face up, counter target instant or sorcery spell.
Yep.
So it's a special game action. You can do it under Grand Abolisher. Like if I am considering this card, which I am like actually really considering this card in Talion specifically, because I just rebuilt Talion. Like that's how you know that we should be having a conversation about Aether Vial, because it does the same thing, right? It's like we're combating against this. Here's my thought process. Let me extrapolate it a little bit more. My thought process right now is, okay, everyone is in this Ristic hell. Everyone is trying to win at flash speed. If everyone is trying to win at flash speed, there are 2 linchpin points in the game. Hey everybody, Kyle from the editing room here. I'm about to go on a tirade, and I'm going to need you to pretend like I say Voice of Victory or Silence instead of Grand Abolisher for the next 2 minutes until we catch it. Thank you for understanding. The first linchpin point is when somebody tries to land a Grand Abolisher, right? Once somebody tries to cast Grand Abolisher, the floodgates open, 2 people try to win on top of each other, and then 2 things either happen. Somebody wins, or the Grand Abolisher ends up sticking, and now you're in this state of, okay, if Grand Abolisher is needed to be played to win the game, we need to combat either the flash enablers or combat people playing under Grand Abolisher, right? I don't know if there's a way we can combat the flash enablers. There's too many of them. They're too good, and everybody has them, right? So
mainly blue players, but yeah, I get what you're saying.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, but that is the majority of what we have. So
And
like,
emergence
I'm
zone, I
thinking,
guess,
okay,
yeah.
if I can't combat that, then I'm going to want to combat the thing that all the Flash enablers are trying to combat, which is Grand Abolisher. Now, yes, you're able to interact through it. I understand that means that you have to have a density of cards that are able to interact or like be meaningful to stop a win or be meaningful to win you the game under someone else's Grand Abolisher effect. I do like admit that is required. That being said, I really like that this is something that can work through those silence effects. Using that as a segue, getting into my third point, which is that decks that play creature/stack C creatures, like hate bears or disrupty creatures, will be able to abuse this card the best. Bringing in an oof at instant speed. Bringing in that new
Grand
Dragons of
Abolisher.
Tarkir dragon. Or bringing in a Grand Abolisher. Exactly. There are so many different ways that you can use this to cheat in a creature at instant speed.
A Dranith.
That can have an effect on the game. Dranith is something that's big too. Now, I will note Dranith is not as potent. I kind of like the ones that can respond to things being cast, right? So, like, for example, can cast Basalt Monolith, right? You have an Aether Vial out and an onto and an oof in hand. That's just the nuts, right? That's Magic Christmas Dreamland. You're like, oh, baby, activate Aether Vial, put an oof into play at instant speed, and you go, sure, you can resolve that Basalt Monolith. And then they are screwed. Like, that's the part I like the most. With Dranith, it's kind of weird because you'd have to activate the Aether Vial like in their upkeep if you like are assuming that they're going to play Tivit on their turn or something like that. So it's a little less reactionary, and I think that the gotcha part of it is actually what gives it a lot of power because of the instant speed. But yeah, so bringing in something like a Collector Oof when there's a big artifact that's coming down, or bringing in an OBM when a wheel has been cast, like those are really, really powerful, game-changing moments that I think that Aether Vial just does a great job of providing impact on the game. Thoughts on that?
No, I think that that's a really strong point that you can hold up and kind of wait to really kind of, essentially it's giving flash to creatures without flash, right? Like that really can kind of, without casting or like utilizing some kind of flash, like other flash enabler. I think this is pretty neat for a much lower cost too, right? Like that's I think a really strong point for this card is like, yeah, you're right. Like going back to that first point, like one cost is pretty good. One small correction for those of you who are listening. We know that you cannot activate this once a Grand Abolisher has already resolved into somebody's turn with a Grand Abolisher. We recognize that. Like this doesn't get around. Earlier you said like this can play through that.
True.
Yeah, it does not.
I meant Voice of Victory.
Cannot,
dang it. Yeah.
You cannot activate this once somebody has gone into their Grand Abolisher turn. We know that. Voice of Victory, yes.
Yes, that's a great correction because I think I was talking about Voice of Victory and then just kind of moved into Grand Abolisher. That's so incorrect.
That's the OG. That's the OG.
That's the OG, but now it's VOV.
Yes.
Voice of Victory. VOV. So apologies for that. Yeah. So you can play through the silence effects, but specifically not Grand Abolisher because it says no.
Don't do anything except for channel, maybe, and look at me.
Yeah, but you can play through silence.
Yes.
Like that. If somebody casts a silence, you can play through that.
Yep.
You can play through a Voice of Victory. You can play through an Orum's Chant. Shout out Tag C Classic Orum's Chant.
I love that card.
Yeah, it's a banger. Anyway, okay. That's my third point is just like the Staxy disrupting things and bringing them out at perfect times is just chef's kiss. I love it. Love it. Cool. Point 3 is that this is a really, really easy card to politic with. Like you can really get into your opponent's head. Here's my thoughts on this, and you're probably gonna like this, y'all. Like anytime somebody starts to cast something or does something, you can like be like, hold on, like touch the Aether Vial with your hand, like physically touch it and be like, am I gonna activate this? And then just go, cards in hand, 4. We're good. Okay, I'll pass. You know, and they'll just And I could just imagine the like mental tax that would put on someone. They'd be like, what the like, what do they have? What are they trying to Aether Vial in right now? That's crazy. Like the thought process, like in my head, if somebody tried to do that, like if it's on 3 in my head, my alarm bell's like, oh my God, are they gonna like Valley Flood Caller and try to jam on top of me right now? Like, what is happening? If it's on 2, I'm like, oh my gosh, is it like an Orcish Bowmaster? Is it a Collector Oof? Like, what is happening right now? So I just think it's really funny as a politicking tool because you can put your opponents in a mental pretzel, just like touching the card.
Yep. I agree. I love that.
It just being like,
I do like that.
You better watch out. I might Aether Vial you. Like, I just love that. I love it so much.
That's
you don't
really
have to say
good.
a word. Yeah. All right. And then my last 4th point is probably one that people thought I would mention earlier, but that's just like that. It's an instant speed Thassa's win, right? So it's a flash enabler for half of the combo that is, newsflash, the best combo in CEDH. Woohoo! So if you are trying to win via flash speed, you are playing a deck that plays Thassa's Oracle, Demonic Consultation, Tainted Pact. You have a high density of creatures. Let's say over what? We could talk about this. 18 creatures?
Depends on the deck. Depends on the deck.
Depends on the deck.
We talked about this last week a little bit. If it's like a Rogsai, right, then probably less.
Oh, they're not gonna. Yeah, they would never play Aether Vial. Rogsais do not play this card.
Yeah, Timnocrom probably less.
Probably not. We said that they were at like 13
to about 18.
So
you're right. I think it was like anywhere between there. Yeah.
It depends on the type of list.
Yeah.
It depends on the type of list because some of them play like PFB and Rev and like they try to do that stuff. But anyway, I'm just saying if you are playing a list that has, let's say, 17 or more creatures and you're on Thassa's Demonic Consultation, and hopefully your density of creatures are kind of like close together, so they're probably like all like 2s and 3s. It's what I guess most like good stuff CEDH piles would be running is like creatures that are 2s and 3s.
Mm-hmm.
Like you can just use this as a way to cast your Thassa's Oracle. Well, not cast your Thassa's Oracle, but put a Thassa's Oracle ETB on the stack by putting Thassa's Oracle into play and then casting Demonic Consultation or Tainted Pact and winning the game. So it's just like a 3rd or 4th flash enabler for you.
3rd or 4th,
because we already have Valley Flood Caller, Born Upon the Wind. What's the fairy? There's the High Fae Trickster.
Trickster.
And then the
Final
CEDH
Ward
staple.
Phantom.
I was going to say Tidal Barracuda as a meme.
Oh, wow. I was going to say, I think it's called Final Ward Phantom, where it's only on your opponent's end step do you get to cast spells with flash.
Yeah, that is a magic card.
It is a card, yes.
Played often. It's probably being played. Ooh, I wonder. Question: Tidal Barracuda or Final Word Phantom?
Ooh.
Oh yeah. I'm gonna read the Barracuda. Is it Tidal Barracuda? Do I not know how to spell this thing?
Barracuda.
Oh, it is. I just don't know how to spell Barracuda. Apparently, Barracuda has 2 R's,
Yes,
and I don't know how to spell.
Yep.
So Tidal Barracuda is 3 and a blue. It's a creature fish, 3/4. Any player may cast spells as though they had flash. Your opponents can't cast spells during your turn. What a banger. What a banger.
It's pretty good.
Oh my gosh. Yeah. And then Final Word Phantom, you basically already said it. It's just like
flash only on
during the end step. Yeah, flash only during the end step. Yeah. Or it's actually, let me clarify. During each opponent's end step, you may cast spells as though they had flash. Not your own. Just your opponent's end steps. Anyway, cool. Those are my points. I think that there's a bunch of decks that could benefit from this. I think that the sweet spot's probably 18 creatures. Anyway, I want to hear your downsides, So let's dig into it. What do you got?
Okay, let's talk about some downsides. I think the most obvious one, and it is very low-hanging fruit, but honestly, when you brought this card up to me and I started thinking about it, I think the biggest thing and it's just kind of a really big hurdle for this one is the fact that it's slow, right? 1 full turn cycle, right?
Ramp it up.
You've got to ramp it up. And actually, I think it's really interesting. When I originally read this card, I didn't think anything of the actual counter that was being put on it. But then when you read it out loud, I was like, oh, a charge counter. I've heard of that before. And actually, the other CEDH viable card that we see more is a Chalice of the Void that it uses charge counters. I thought it was really fun to think about how we could potentially try to abuse putting the correct counters onto this It's charge counters. Chalice of the Void says Chalice Void enters with X counters on it, so it's an XX spell. Whenever a player casts a spell, converted mana cost equal to the number of charge counters on it, it counters that spell. So it's not the first time we've seen counters like that being put on. I just thought it was really interesting because I originally didn't think anything of it, and there are 110 cards that care about charge counters. Just fun
fact.
Fun magic fact.
Deep dive, yeah. And you better watch out for Solemnity. Is that one of your points?
Because like all Magic players, like I read this card and then I was like, okay, how do we abuse this card? To me, it just does seem really slow to cast it and wait, right? Wait for one whole turn cycle to kind of do it. And that kind of leads me into my second point, is that it's a very basic generic thing to kind of do, but like on an artifact, I kind of don't like that I have to tap it. Because I went down this line of thinking about to activate it, I have to tap it, which means that if I wanted to try and abuse it and do it more times, I would have to have an untapper. And so I thought about...
yeah. Voltaic key.
Or...
Manifold key.
Or a creature that already kind of does it
Derevi.
for... Seedborn Muse. Seedborn Muse, right? Like really gets you more value out of this card. But except for that first time, you put this down.
Are you trying to help me with my points?
Kind of.
Okay, because that sounds like gas.
Except, let's say you have a Seedborn out and you somehow, you get this later game, right? Or like you're in Rogthras, so it makes a bajillion mana. Like turn 1, turn 2, you get your Seedborn out and you got your Aether Vial. That first full turn cycle, going through and having your upkeep with everybody else's, your comrades, I think this highlights like how slow this card actually is. It's like you get to untap this Aether Vial and you're like, shoot, I have no zero cost creatures that I can play, right? And it's like kind of highlights how much you have to wait to kind of ramp this card up, because you've told me, you've said this before, it's like when we put something down, we kind of want that value right away.
I want it now.
Another way to think about it is, let's say you've got your 2 counters on it, 3, whatever, or 4, whatever it is that you needed to get to.
Oof.
And it gets bounced, like with a Into the Flood Maw, a Cyclonic Rift, whatever it is. Do you spend that 1 mana? It is only 1 mana, but do you replay this and try to go through a turn cycle again and
it depends on the hellscape that we're in.
Right.
A lot of times, if you're getting it Cyclonic Rifted, that means an overloaded Cyclonic Rifted resolved, and at that point, you've probably lost the game.
Yeah, probably.
So, I don't think that I'd be playing it in that sense, but if somebody Into the Flood Maws my Aether Vial on 3, that's wild, 1. I don't even think somebody would do it. But if they did, like, it depends on how hellish of a hellscape it is.
Yeah.
If I feel like the game is not ending for a long time, sure, yeah, I play that 1 mana.
And then I think Chain of Vapor hits this as well, right?
I mean, it could.
Yeah, it could, right?
It could, but who's Chain of Vaporing the Aether Vial? That's the argument, which is kind of crazy. It's counter to the argument that it's a good card, but at the same time, I think people undervalue it, and because it's undervalued is why I don't think people will bounce this card. Like, why would you expend resources to bounce the Aether Vial unless somebody actively sees that you're getting, like they somehow see your hand and they're like, whoa, this guy's got 3 creatures that are all 3 costs that he's going to get to play for free.
I think it's...
like, I don't see it.
I think it is one of those weird situations where it's like, well, I only can do one thing, and so I'm going to bounce this thing from on myself. And then this guy wants to like politic and like they're trying to bully you, and they're like, I'm going to bounce your Aether Vial, but we know we all need to bounce that Dranith or that Grand Abolisher over there. And so I'm going to make you do it by bouncing this. And so it's going to be this like,
sure, the classic
Chain of Vapor
dilemma.
Like dilemma, right?
Yeah.
I can see that happening.
Every time that happens, it's so annoying.
It's annoying, but like it is a thing that I can see potentially happening. And
so you're saying Aether Vial might catch a stray from a Chain of Vapor?
Yeah, buddy.
Like that. I mean, come on. But that's the thing. It's like it's a 1 cost. Like, do you really care? You used 1 mana to get to that point. Like, sure, the turn cycles. I understand it is slow. That's totally fine. And my rebuttal to the whole it's slow point, because you kind of went from point 1 to point 2.
I jumped.
My rebuttal to point 1 is like, yeah, I understand it's slow. I would not recommend this in a meta 1 year ago when Rogsai was rampant and people were winning turn 1, turn 2, turn 3 was like, whoa, we got to turn 3. That's crazy. Like, I would never recommend this card in that meta. Now, when we're playing against Glarbs, we're playing against Kenrith Control, we're playing against, I've even seen, hell, shout out to the Niv Mizzet Perun making a comeback. I'm seeing that a little bit more. Shout out you, Sean. But like we're playing all these control, like we're seeing control lists. The games are going to time every single time. You're getting turn 4, you're getting turn 5, you're getting turn 6 sometimes. I 100% agree it is slow, but it is because the meta is slow that this card is so powerful right now.
But I still don't know quite if it's like still that good enough, right? Because like obvious ways to go get this right without having it in hand. Urza Saga, right? Now we're waiting all the way till turn 3, so you're not going to get a counter on this until turn 4, right? Like,
no, gross. I disagree with that argument completely. We would never get this off an Urza Saga. Never.
That makes it even like not worse for me. Like the fact that it's not a card I really want to even go fetch for.
I like that argument.
You know what I mean?
Like I understand that the later that this card comes to
out,
you, the worse it is.
Right.
I agree with that statement. And there's plenty of cards like that. Like Gemstone Caverns feels like shit when you draw it turn 5. But like this card is very similar to Gemstone Caverns in that way, where like if you get it in your early hand, it can be really, really powerful.
But it still provides something right away when you play down a Sadstone Caverns, right? Like,
I mean,
you're still tapping
you can
for
make the
generic
niche
mana.
argument that Aether Vial does the same thing, you know?
A full turn
It's
cycle
like,
later.
Unless I'm playing Korvold and I can play it for 1, go to combat with Korvold, sacrifice the Aether Vial, draw a magic card.
Now, okay, cool. I mean, if it turns out like on a Mox Opal, then yeah, sure. I think this is like really fine. But like almost
good point.
Any artifact at that point is really good. And I think that for this reason is why a card that I've actually been talking with, you mentioned Sean earlier, and I kind of mentioned it to Sean as well, as like a card that does something kind of similar. It's not the same, is Yisan. The Wandering Bard. Yeah, Wandering Bard, right?
Yeah.
You do have to pay to put into it, right? Like verse counters.
I'll read the card.
Go ahead.
Yisan the Wandering Bard, 2 and a green. So 3 mana total. Legendary creature, human rogue bard. It's a 2/3.
Oh, so many.
Has an activated ability. You pay 2 and a green and tap it. Put a verse counter on Yisan the Wanderer Bard. That's part of the cost. Then it says, search your library for a creature card with mana value equal to the number of verse counters on Yisan. Put it onto the battlefield. Then shuffle. It's a very similar ability to Aether Vial.
Obviously, I think that it's not apples to oranges because they're very similar, but like obviously this doesn't require any other activation than tapping it, so like that makes it a lot better, right, than Yisan. But Yisan can be your commander. You're searching through your whole library rather than just what you have in your hand, like all kinds of things, yada yada. So, but like, and I know when I started playing, I saw Yisan a little bit more, right? But then I don't know if
there's one Yisan pilot in my meta.
Really?
There's one in my meta. Yeah, I think I've played against them like 2 or 3 times in tournaments.
Do you know if they run Aether Vial in that Yisan list?
No, because they're like super heavy Collector Oof decks.
Oh, so they don't want any.
Yeah. So like, I don't hate it, to be honest, because I think using Aether Vial to put a Collector Oof into play is not the worst thing in the world.
It's not.
So like, I personally could see it being played in there, but I think that their like top level thought process is like, I'm playing all these Staxy effects that like shut down artifacts. I just like pulled up one of the lists and it was like 8 artifacts. So like they don't want it. But at the same time, like if you're using the Aether Vial to put the oof into play, I don't hate that at all. Like if it turns off Aether Vial, it's like, whatever. It was 1 mana. That's why this card is like, even if you get that one gotcha moment, you were paying 1 mana to do so. It's like Savage Summoning in that sense.
Yep. And then my last point is the fact that, and you, again, something you said actually kind of triggered this, is like, it's kind of the timing of like when you get to put a charge counter onto it, is that the fact that it's on the upkeep. Now, granted, when you're building your deck, you should already kind of know, like for the most part, you always want 2, but I'm sure there are occasions where maybe 3 or 4 is like potentially the better, again, depending on the makeup of your deck.
Mm-hmm.
And the fact that it triggers before you get to draw that card for turn somehow for me makes it go, oh, like it was not something I had thought about. But again, when you were reading it and kind of explaining the fact that
I mean,
I
like,
don't know without top deck manipulation, like what I'm drawing and what I may. It's imperfect information, and yes, that's the game. Don't get me wrong.
It's a niche downside. Yeah, no, it's a niche downside. I agree. It's a interesting. Like, so you're saying if it was post draw step, like main phase 1,
honestly,
if there was a trigger, like a black market connections trigger, yeah, it would be better.
It would be better.
You're right.
Right. And maybe too good for one cost. Right.
Yeah.
And I'm bringing it up because, like, in the tight landscape that we're in, like, every little bit of something like that matters. Let's say you decide to keep it on 2, and you need to like to get us out of this situation, I need to put a opposition agent into play. Right. I don't have opposition agent into play, so I need to bump this into 3, right? So that I know I can get this in unmolested.
And hope that I draw into opposition agent.
And hope I get it, or like get a top deck or a tutor of some sort to get myself this thing. And so sometimes you may have to make that decision, and I think that can kind of just feel not regret, but like,
it can feel difficult,
right? It just feels like
it can make it makes the piloting process more difficult for sure. I mean, you can just like expand that negative downside of like the timing to more expand it to, you have to make tough decisions with this card. This card isn't a set and forget card.
Yeah.
It's a card that you actively every single turn have to make a decision of whether or not you tick up the card. Now, obviously, the very first activation is likely an easy one. You're gonna tick it up.
You're gonna tick it up. You've got it, right?
Yeah, unless your deck is 99 Memnites. But
I was just trying to picture like, I'm going to keep it at 0, and I'm going to play.
Is there any world where you ever keep it at 0?
Maybe in Flubs. Maybe in Flubs. But Flubs wants to cast. No. Flubs wants to cast.
Yeah, no. So your first decision is very easy. The second decision, going from 1 to 2, in most decks, I think is an easy one. I think moving off of 2 to 3
that's hard.
Becomes a little bit more difficult. Hard. And then anytime you're thinking about moving past 3 is kind of like low-key crazy. Like, I can't really think of any CEDH decks that have high enough creature density at 4 drops to like want to do that.
I can't either.
Yeah,
2 and 3, for sure. Like, weird. I agree with you. 2 and 3.
The jump from 2 to 3 is like the hardest decision you might make in the entire game.
Yep.
Like that, and I'm not trying to be hyperbolic. It really is. Like,
there are a lot of good 2 drops
with your imperfect information.
Yep.
Exactly.
I mean, pre-bans, you probably keep it on 2. Putting in a dockside, just putting in a dockside just feels way too good, right?
Yeah. But pre-bans, you can't play this card because if dockside exists, it's way too slow.
That's so funny. That's so true. It's so true.
All right. So let's talk about our best points. Yeah, what point did I make that you think was the best point for this card?
Honestly, I think it's the fact that you brought up, I don't have to uptick this thing. I think when I was looking at this card and kind of doing my research, I kind of glossed over it, and the fact that it's a May to put on that charge counter, so that being able to keep it where it needs to be is really good. It's really important, right? Like being able to go, nope, I'm going to decline that trigger. I'm going to keep it at 2, and here's a Grand Abolisher.
Yeah. On the flip side, like, we say that we have imperfect information, so it might be difficult to make that decision. On the flip side, sometimes your hand might just like play itself. Like, you might just have like a 2, 3, and a 4 drop that you can ramp at the same time as your Aether Vial, and it just perfectly seamlessly, you're just like boom, 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 perfect. Okay, I win the game. So like that can happen too.
If your opponent does that, you need a Chain of Vapor.
You just got Aether.
That Aether.
You just got vialed.
Yeah,
you just got vialed.
That's horrible.
That's the vial that Vial smashes. Get it? Vial smasher. Haha. It's a CEDH joke. So bad.
All right, Kyle. What point of mind do you think supports why this card should stay in the sideboard?
Okay, it was the point that you trapped me and tricked me with, where you're like, Urza Saga, third turn, Urza Saga trigger, you go get an Aether Vial, and I was like, oh, that was gross, and then you're like, ha, gotcha, bitch, it's terrible.
Right? Like,
that killed me. I'm not gonna lie. You did a Jedi mind trick on me. Like, yeah, it's bad late. Okay, I agree, but still. But yeah, that was a really good point. I'm bitter, but it's a good point. Anyway, I want to start trying to do something new.
Let's do it.
Okay, had this shower thought the other day. So I want to do more conversations about decks that these cards could potentially go in.
Yep.
So maybe should we do it after we see if you think it's a good card or not? Yeah, let's do it after.
Let's do it.
All right,
yeah,
listeners, don't leave.
Yeah.
No,
don't leave. Don't leave.
All right, yeah. Don't leave yet. We're doing a new thing. Okay, yeah. Is Aether Vial a good card?
I think conditionally in this creature heavy meta, if your combos, I think you should play this. for sure.
If you're playing creature combos, is that what you're saying?
Yeah, if you're not on creature combos, you won't consider this card anyways. It won't matter.
Is Thassa's enough? 15 creatures and you have Thassa's. Is this enough?
8 creatures and you have Thassa's?
No, 15.
Oh, I'm saying 8.
Trash.
I'm saying 8 and it's Thassa's enough.
No
like,
way.
15?
No way.
15's like,
No.
I think...
Wait,
like
so 15?
15 I think is like pretty decent amount of like creatures, right? Like,
yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
So based on the creature count, that's a good card.
Yeah.
I think my cutoff personally is like 18. I think that's where I'm at with it.
I think conditionally
Maybe 17 if you have Thassa's.
Yeah.
17 if you have Thassa's, that's your win con, and you have a lot of 2-drops. And you can just like let it simmer on 2. But sweet. All right, awesome. Now we're going back. Wait,
okay.
Rewind.
Come back, everybody.
My idea.
Yeah.
Yeah, put it back on. Turn up the volume. Unless I laugh, then turn down the volume. It's probably good. Anyway, so what we wanted to try is we're gonna pull up like the top 20 lists in CEDH, and like we're just gonna go back and forth asking each other our thoughts on including Aether Vial in XYZ deck.
Okay.
And just get our gut reaction.
I wrote mine down
off of it.
Kind of.
So okay, cool. Then hit me with one. And then I'll just give you my gut reaction. We'll rate on a scale of 1 to 10 how interested we are in testing Aether Vial in a generic list of this type.
Okay.
So 10 being you're like, oh yeah, slam dunk, I'm testing in that list.
This is a very
1 being I would never play.
This is a very creature heavy list. Tie him.
Oh wow, tie him. That's, you know what? I wonder.
It actually fits a number. It fits a number. It's like under 3.
40 creatures.
Right. It's under 3 because it can return any permanent on 3 CMC or less. Right. So this actually kind of.
Oh, so you're saying you can pull Aether Vial back?
Technically,
I don't know if it's
good enough,
relevant.
but
I think to me the fact that Tyam decks, correct me if I'm wrong, Tyams in the comments, run 40 or more creatures means that Aether Vial could be totally fine. And they also run a lot of stacks, hate bears. So I'm super down. I think I'll put this at like a 9.
Ooh.
9 out of 10.
Oh, okay. All right. What about for me?
What was yours? Wait, what's yours?
I was having played very, very little. Hear me, Time Pilots.
Yeah, you probably had like
playing
3
very little.
Games. Yeah.
I think that they're relying on Tyam to just do that for them, right? And so I think this is like you test this in and out. So it's like a 6 for me.
Okay.
Worth trying, but maybe not worth keeping.
Okay. All right. I got you one.
Go.
Tavesh Thras. Soul Tie mana, baby.
Ooh. So your combos are like Hermit Druid or... Let's watch somebody uptick this all the way up to 6 and put in a Protean Hulk.
And probably Hulk 7?
7. Oh, wow. Go all the way
to 7. I think it's 7, but it gets up to 6. Everyone's gonna
maybe you're right.
in the comments right now. It is 7, but it gets 6.
Okay,
Let's go.
That's right.
I know my green cards.
This into Tavesh Thras. I actually don't know that deck that well.
Yeah.
I'm going to give it...
I'm looking at right now that got second place at a recent tournament, 22 creatures.
7. I'm going to give it a 7. I'm going to give it a 7. I was going to give it my generic 6, but that's enough. That's definitely enough to at least kind of play around with it. You just cut your Mox Amber or some shit.
The weird thing about this list, excuse me for coughing, is that there's like a weird distribution of CMCs in this list. They have like a Kant Sphinx that's like a 6. They have a Displacer Kitten that's like a 4. They have Hazel's Brewmaster that's a 4. They have Hullbreaker Horde that's a 7. They have Phyrexian Metamorph, which is a 4. Seedborn Muse is a 5. Sowing Mycospawn's a 4. So it's kind of got like a weird distribution.
Kind of heavy.
But maybe this is one of those decks. It is kind of heavy, but maybe it's one of those decks that you like ramp that Aether Vial up. You know what I mean?
Yep.
Like you're like, okay,
yep.
We'll push it to 4. We'll push it to 5. We'll push it to 6. I don't know. It could be interesting. Yeah, they currently run 18 artifacts as well, and one of them is Mopal. So cool. Next one for me. We'll just do 2 more.
Malcolm Vial.
Pretty deep into this. Malcolm Vial.
Think about it.
See, you're trying to bait me because the name has Vial in it.
I didn't think about it that way, but yeah. Now, my master plan.
Now you're like, oh shit, I baited you. How many creatures are in Malcolm Vial? Like 19 is my guess. Maybe less. God.
What does my list run?
Let's see if I can. Am I allowed to pull up a list?
Yeah, go ahead. I have a list.
I'm gonna pull up a list. Okay, yeah, like 13 to 15 creatures. That's not as many as I thought. I'm not gonna lie, because this is like a Grixis. It's like a Grixis good stuff deck, so you don't really want this.
But
I'm gonna go like a 4.
But
no, we'll go Yeah, we'll go 4. We'll go 4 just because it has Thassus still.
But like one of its more important combos runs off of a just 3-drop creature, right? Like
At Glinthorn, yeah.
Glinthorn coming in unmolested is even more unmolested than normal, right? Because like you're looking at maybe.
Can you stop saying that word,
okay.
please? Just please stop saying that.
Unhindered, untouched. Is not nothing. I'm gonna give this like a 7. It's like something I play Glinthorn, or I play Malcolm Vial, and while it's kind of like one of those like I need it on my turn to be able to win with Glinthorn, just being able to put a creature like that into play feels pretty good. That feels pretty good.
Yeah. There's a lot of good 3-drops too at that level, but then you're going past 2, and like Thassus is like a main win line. So I don't know. I still think I'm at a 4.
Yeah, I hear you. No.
What number would you give?
I said 7. I'm feeling real 7 today.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's crazy.
How about for me?
Okay.
Last one?
Yeah, last one. Let's go. Ooh, let's do the Tim Tarantino special. Marnius
probably plays.
I pulled up
17?
Tim's list. He's got 19 creatures.
Oh.
19. That's a lot of creatures.
But like it's playing like what? It's playing the Charismatic Conqueror. Is he? He's playing like some Esper good stuff for the most part.
This list is not on Charismatic.
Okay, he's off of it.
He might be on it. I don't know. He's got Braids, Displacer Kitten, Dranith, Esper, Forensic Gadgeteer, Gilded Drake, Grand Abolisher, Grim Hireling, Hullbreaker Horror, Lotho, Mockingbird, Ocelot Pride, Orcish Bowmasters, Phyrexian Metamorph, Ranger Captain, Rev, Thassus, Tivit, and Warren Soul Trader. Banger card.
I'm gonna say like a 4.
Yeah. Something about Aether Vial, like it screams green to me.
Right. Agree.
Like, it screams the need of needing those dorks early.
Yeah.
And getting those dorks out for free. So I'd probably give it a 5. Like, I don't think it would necessarily like make the deck unfunctionable if you put it in Marnius, but I don't think it's necessarily like top of the list. It's probably like 180th included.
180th.
I'm serious. Esper has so many good cards.
Esper has maybe
160.
Yeah, Esper has a lot of good cards.
I mean, I'm sure you could build it in a different way that was more like Hateberry Staxy. Like it's just like I'm just looking at this random, Tim's list. Whatever other Marnius pilot out there who wants to play other Staxy shit, you could easily play Marnius with some more creature token creators, some more hate bears, and now you're at 24 creature count, and Aether Vial is looking pretty juicy, So I don't hate it in that scenario. I'll give it a 5. What do you got?
I said a 4.
Oh, you said a 4.
Yeah.
Okay. All right, y'all. It's time for our closing segment, and we're gonna do it pretty quick because we've been rambling today. That's a good card? ? If you haven't played this game with us before, what we're gonna do is I will be providing Yaw.
Yes.
And the name, yes, Yaw is like shaking his like, yes, Kyle, good. I'll be providing Yaw the name of an obscure Magic the Gathering card, and it'll be his job as well as yours, the listener, to guess everything about that card. Color, type, cost, flavor, text, art, everything. Go ahead and put your guess in the comments down below. In the YouTube comments, helps a ton. Also, Spotify comments. We've been getting a little bit more Spotify commenting on there. I wish you could reply on Spotify to other people's comments that aren't just me. Like, I wish that there was more like cross-listener interaction there. So maybe one day Spotify will mix that up. But yeah, cool. All right, are you ready for your card?
Yep.
Your card is Battle Brawler.
Battle Brawler. Red.
Heck yeah.
Blue. Is it? It's going
what?
to be, yeah, it's an
what?
It's
Are you sure you don't want to redo?
Yeah, no, it has prowess. Hold on. Bear with me.
What?
Yeah. Wait, what is it again? Battle what? God. Battle what?
Battle Brawler.
Battle Brawler. Red green.
You really think I'm so critical of you right now. You really think that's a is it card? That's crazy.
Red green maybe? Red white. Actually, it might be red white.
It can just be one color, right?
Yeah, but like you're trying to trick me. You're trying to trick me, and it's like 2 color for sure. I'm gonna go red white. It has it's an oh boy. I walked myself into thinking. I was like, oh man. It's gonna be 2 generic.
So it's just one red pip.
Yeah, 2 generic and a red and a white pip. right? 4 costs.
Okay. Boros.
4/4.
Yep.
It has prowess. Prowess is anytime you cast an instant or sorcery spell, give it +1/+1 till end of turn. And then other, whenever another creature enters the battlefield, Battle Brawler fights. No, you may have Battle Brawler fight another target creature.
Holy shit, that's broken.
Yeah, dude, with prowess for 4, maybe it should be 5 cost, but
that's
I already said it.
broken. Okay.
Oh,
okay.
And,
yeah.
the art is literally
the art?
this goblin, right, tinkering with his version of like, if you guys ever watch like battle bots back in the day, he's tinkering with a battle bot that he's so excited to enter into the local battle brawler
bot
arena.
Okay, I like that artwork.
The flavor text. Oh yeah, they laughed at me, but I'll show them. I will beat up all of their battle bots. Squeeze cousin. Squex.
Squeeze cousin.
Squeeze
Flex?
cousin Squex.
Squex.
I'm making up
wow.
Vorthos now.
You're creating Vorthos as we speak.
Yep,
That's
yep.
crazy. Okay,
I'm for hire.
We'll see it. Okay, yeah.
Go ahead.
I'm for hire. Okay. Listeners, I guarantee you did better than you on this one.
For sure.
So, Battle Brawler
Just read.
is a black card. It is 1 and a black for a creature, Orc Warrior.
Oh.
It's a 2/2. It says, as long as you control a red or white permanent.
Whoa.
You got kind of close
I'm
there.
going to take that.
Battle Brawler gets +1/+0 and has first strike.
I don't feel like I'm too far
The
off.
flavor text reads, every time he returns from battle unscathed, he feels a tinge of disappointment. And the artwork is this cool, badass orc warrior with like a full suit of like samurai looking armor on with a big ass sword, just like banners waving in the background. This orc has seen some
battles.
wars.
I like my geeky squeaks instead. Or squeaks. Not squeaks. Squeaks.
Squex. Yeah. Okay, that was fun.
That was fun.
Thank you, listeners, for listening to today's episode on Aether Vial. And thank you so much to all the YouTube commenters and Spotify commenters and everyone else who has commented trying to get us to review this card. Thank you so much for your recommendation. Please direct your attention to our links in our link tree down below, where you'll find links to all the places we host our podcast, whether that's Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or YouTube. And you'll also find links to our Patreon, where you'll find additional bonus Patreon content. That's extra podcasts, mini podcasts, random memes, additional Discord channels for patron members, as well as a banger Mulligan and Theory Corvold Landfall video by yours truly.
That's right.
At 10:30 at night when I was really tired. So it's really quiet, but it's still great content. All right, y'all. Thank you so much for listening to today's episode. We'll see you next week. Bye.
Bye.